It was around 25 years ago, early fall I think, somewhere in Cowlitz County, Washington. The kind of area with deep woods that stretch for miles, where the moss hangs thick from the trees and the underbrush is always wet, even if it hasn't rained in a week. My dad had taken me and two others, my cousin Mike and his buddy Travis, on a camping trip. I was in my early teens back then. We were all packed up in my dad's old green Chevy pickup and had driven out past the last logging roads into a clearing near a creek. The kind of spot you only know about if someone shows you. It wasn't marked. No signs. Just forest on all sides. We set up camp late afternoon. One big tent for all four of us. It was old canvas, smelled like mildew and campfire smoke from the last trip. We had a fire pit already there from past campers, with a few large logs someone had dragged up to sit on. After we got everything set, tin up, firewood gathered, gear stowed, my dad cracked open a beer and we all sat around the fire, just soaking in the quiet. You could hear the creek a little ways off, trickling over the rocks. No traffic sounds, no planes, just trees creaking in the wind and the occasional bird calling out. We cooked hot dogs on sticks and passed around a bag of chips. We weren't really doing anything special, just hanging out, joking around. The fire burned bright in the middle of our little setup, and the shadows it threw into the woods were tall and twitchy, shifting every time the flames popped. I remember feeling uneasy at one point. It was subtle, like the kind of thing you notice only when everything else is quiet. Like someone watching. You ever get that prickly feeling on the back of your neck? It came and went, but I didn't say anything. It was getting late, maybe 10:30, and Travis and Mike were talking about some girl back in town. I wasn't really paying attention anymore. I was messing with the flashlight, sweeping it through the trees. Not really looking for anything, just doing what kids do when they're bored. That's when I caught it, eyes. Just for a second. Not the kind of reflection you get off a raccoon or a deer. These were different. Higher up than I expected. Like maybe 6-7 feet off the ground. Two red dots, wide apart, staring straight back. They didn't blink, didn't move, just reflected the beam. I remember freezing for a second. I moved the light away, thinking maybe I imagined it. Then I brought it back. Still there. Same spot. Same height. My dad noticed I'd gone quiet and asked if something was out there. I told him I thought I saw eyes, probably a deer or something. He took the flashlight and shined it out there himself, but by then they were gone. He handed it back and shrugged. Probably a raccoon in a tree, he said, but I could tell even he wasn't sure. We went back to our circle, tried to shake it off. About 15 minutes later, a small rock came flying in and hit the edge of the fire pit. Not big enough to hurt anyone, just enough to notice. We all stopped talking and looked around. Nobody said anything at first. Then another one came, this time a stick, dry and light. It bounced into the flames and cracked a bit when it caught. My dad stood up, looked out into the dark. "All right, who's screwing around?" he said. His voice was calm, but had that edge to it. Nobody answered. Of course nobody would. We were alone out there. No other camps for miles. He shined a flashlight again. Nothing. We figured maybe it was just the woods. Stuff falling out of trees. But it happened again. Another small rock, almost like someone was tossing them gently, not trying to hit anyone, just aiming for the fire. It wasn't like a barrage. Just one every few minutes. Random. Subtle. But enough to keep us on edge. We stopped joking around. Nobody said it out loud, but the mood had shifted. My dad stayed standing for a long time, scanning the woods while the rest of us stared into the fire like it might tell us what was going on. After a while, the tossing stopped. Nothing else happened. No more eyes. No more rocks or sticks. Eventually, we called a night. Crawled into the tent, one by one. My dad slept closest to the entrance. I was next to him. Mike and Travis were on the far end. I remember lying there, sleeping bag zipped up tight, listening to the fire crackle as it died down. The air smelled like pine needles and smoke. The tent rustled a little in the breeze. No talking now. Everyone was quiet, trying to sleep, but not really sleeping. I've always been a light sleeper. My dad too. That night I must have drifted off around 1 or 2, but it wasn't deep. I kept waking up at little sounds, branches creaking, leaves rustling, that kind of thing. I remember checking my watch. It was just past 5 a.m., still dark out. Cold. The kind of damp chill that settles into your clothes and your bones. That's when I heard the footsteps. Slow, heavy, not a deer, not something four-legged. It was 2 feet, careful, deliberate steps just outside the tent, crunching on old pine needles, shifting weight with each step. My eyes popped open, and I held my breath. Then I smelled it, like wet dog, rotting meat, and something else like sour garbage. It hit me like a wave. It was strong, close. I could hear my dad stir next to me. He'd smelled it too. He shifted, and the tent creaked a little. Then he smacked the canvas hard with his hand, right where the sound had come from, and yelled in a sharp voice, "Get the fuck OUTA here." Whatever it was, it took off. I mean, ran. You could hear it crashing through the underbrush, snapping twigs and branches as it went. It wasn't a bear. Bears lumber, even when they run. This was upright, fast, 2-legged. No grunt, no growl. Just that stink lingering in the air. We didn't sleep after that. Just laid there listening, waiting for it to come back. It didn't. The rest of the morning was dead quiet. No birds, no squirrels, nothing. When the sky started to lighten and we could finally see again, we got up, packed our stuff as fast as we could. My dad didn't say much. None of us did. Before we left, we walked around the edge of the camp just to look. There weren't any clear footprints, too much pine needle and leaf litter, but we did see a spot near the back side of the tent where the brush had been trampled. Broken branches. Something had stood there. For how long, I don't know. Watching us. Listening. Smelling us. I remember we got back into town that afternoon. My mom asked how the trip went. Dad just said it was fine and walked off to the garage. I didn't tell anyone for a long time. What was I supposed to say? We got rocks tossed at us, and something with red eyes stood in the trees, then came sniffing around our tent. Nobody would believe that. But I know what I saw. I know what I smelled. I know what I heard. I've been in the woods plenty since then, hiking, fishing, even camping again, but not in that part of the county. Not even close. Something about that place felt wrong after that night. And every once in a while, when the woods go quiet and I'm out there alone, I get that same feeling. That prickly, watched feeling. And I remember those eyes. Red in the dark. Not moving. Not blinking. Just watching.